Hey man, you hand me a magazine real quick? Different one, come on. It doesn't even fit in the gun. What is going on? Will you please hand me a magazine that works for this freaking gun? Jesus!
6 months later.
What's up guys, welcome back to Range Logic. On today's video, of course, as you saw in the intro, we are going over magazines. So just a note for reference, that intro was filmed many months ago. I had filmed the intro and then totally forgot to film the rest of the video. So this is the video. Intro happened a couple months ago, so bear with me, but we're gonna start breaking down some of these magazines, the differences, and why you might choose one over the other. So let's just start with a good baseline. So obviously, and we're referencing Glock magazines only. These are factory and aftermarket Glock magazines. This is not any other manufacturer except one, which I'll mention here in a minute. So you obviously have your Glock factory magazines anywhere from 10 rounds, 15 rounds, 17 rounds, and so on, depending on your calibers. So like here's a magazine for a Glock 26, and then you have your Glock 17 mags. So pretty obviously sizable difference there. And then once we move on from factory standard capacity, then you have factory extended, like with your 19X, you have the +2 extension on there. So same base magazine, just a little +2 on the base pad. Nothing crazy. And then we go to aftermarket extended mags. So the bodies of these are still my Glock 17 magazines, but I put on base pad extensions, whether it be Ghost Ink or Terran Tactical. You get your +5 or +6 extensions for competitions and what have you. So very reliable, still the same reliability as a factory Glock mag, just higher capacity. So super easy, you can order them online, pop the base pad out and change them. Then we also have, going back to like standard capacity, Magpul has several Glock magazines that they make. This is the 17 round Magpul magazine. It's kind of, it feels just like everything else Magpul makes. Not to say, these are all plastic except a couple, but you know, it's a plastic, it's a hard plastic. They have the little dot matrix on the bottom so you can number them easily, and they're cheap. It's something that you go to the range, you don't care. You hit it with the lawnmower, not a big deal. Just the other day, I did chop up one of my brand new Glock 17 magazines with the lawnmower. So that was kind of, upsetting. Whereas if it was a Magpul mag, wouldn't have bothered me so much. So then those are Glock factory magazines. All the bodies are factory minus that Magpul one. Then we get into the steel magazines that are aftermarket for Glock. So we have the Shield Arms magazines for the 43X and the 48. This ups the capacity to 15 rounds instead of the single stack 10 round magazine capacity of both of those guns. So here I have my Glock 48 and it is unloaded. And the steel magazine here just fits in very nice and it drops free. They're super awesome mags. Like they come out faster than a Glock factory mag. And you really can't ask for more because when you add the 15 round capacity with the slim size of the 48 or the 43X, you're really getting a nice package here with the same ammo capacity as a stock Glock 19. So I love the Shield magazines. I've used them since the first day I bought my 48. I got the Shield Arms mags before I left the store, swapped out the magazine catch, and moved on. And I've never looked back since. So if you happen to see these and you question their reliability, I have had absolutely zero issues with the Shield Arms mags. So I love them. And then the only reason I brought this out, let me back up a second. Metgar also makes a steel magazine for the Glock 19, 17. It'll technically fit all of them, but it is an 18 round capacity. So factory Glock mags for the Glock 17, let's say, is 17 rounds. They're making one 18 rounds. Same size, same profile. Here's my 19X, so the grip of a 17, fits perfectly flush, drops free. Even at like an upward angle, it still slides out. So these magazines, they also have a, kind of a cool green follower in there. I'll bring you guys in and we'll go through the whole table here so you guys can see them up close. So these ones are pretty awesome. I ordered them, well, it's been a while because I did the intro with them. But since the intro, and actually it kind of worked out that I didn't film the video because I've shot so much more through these magazines since then. I absolutely love these things. They are at the price point between the Magpul magazine and a Glock magazine. I do prefer a Glock magazine. If I could just put an extension on it, that would always be my go-to. But I typically don't buy Glock magazines because anytime you buy a Glock, you get 3 magazines. So those just kind of add up over time. But training and practicing and competitions, it's nice to have just a couple flush magazines. It does have an extra round, but they're steel. Like the grit and everything, it just works. They're very nice. So the reason I brought out this, which is not a Glock magazine, it's made by the same manufacturer. This is a Beretta M9 magazine. Also 18 rounds. So that's just kind of, they've done the same thing just with Glock now. So the M9 magazine is awesome. It is, it's great. So when I saw that they made the Glock ones, I thought it was a no-brainer. So to me, great magazine. So let me bring the camera in here and I'm going to show you up close of each magazine and then we'll get to some shooting. All right, so for those of you that don't know, maybe you're new to guns or new to Glocks in general, this is just the factory Glock magazine off of a Glock 17. 17 rounds. It is a steel-lined polymer exteriored magazine. Just your standard base pad. This is a Gen 5 mag. You can tell by the little bit of a lip here on the front. And then if there was no rounds in it, it would have an orange follower, much like, well, I don't have any Gen 5s that are empty. So that is a factory Glock mag, just simple, but very reliable, works very, very well. So here is the Magpul magazine. And you can kind of see, it might be hard to tell, but there is a little bit of like a shine difference to it. It's definitely a different style of plastic. It does have the last round indicator down there at the 17 rounds. Orange follower. It's a nice follower. It's good. The back of the plastic here almost looks like maybe that's where the molding, from the next mag when they're molding these is connected. Base pad's nice. Not bad at all. It does have that dot matrix so you can number all your mags, which is kind of handy. I like it. But just, another basic magazine. Nothing crazy. All right, and then the factory smaller mag for the Glock 26. And then this is the extended for the 19X. So it has your +2 extension on the bottom. Other than that, it's still just a 17 round magazine. And then here is a couple different extensions on the bottom. So this is a +6 extension from Terran Tactical. Very nice extension, aluminum, very durable. I like these. These are my competition magazines. And this is a Ghost Ink 6-round extension. And it has a little bit of a grab, like you could grab to pull the magazine out if it ever got caught inside of the pistol. Very nice as well. It's just a little bit wider, so something to mention, something to know. But it does have a nice palm swell, so when you go to drive that magazine up into the gun, you have some base to grab onto there. And then here is the Shield Arms magazines. So these are for the 43X and the 48. Very nice magazines. And these are 15 round capacity, and it also does have the dot matrix on the bottom. Super reliable. I've had no issues with these. The only thing is, when you change your Glock to this magazine, you must change out your magazine release because the metal magazine would chew up the plastic magazine release. But that's not really a huge deal. It's pretty easy to do that. And then here is the newest offering for aftermarket Glock mags. This is the Mechgar mag. And if you notice these channels in the side of the magazine, I mean, obviously I'm no engineer, but that sure looks like to me also to strengthen the sidewall of the magazine, but it's also going to help if you have debris in that magazine well, it's going to help to not lock up the sides of that, because sometimes with a factory magazine, you can actually get that grit to sandwich between the plastic of the gun and the magazine and bite down. So I think that's kind of a cool feature. And then it does have the 18 round capacity. No dot matrix on the bottom, but you know, that is what it is. Not a big deal. And they're reversible for left or right-handed, you know, Glocks. Like, because now with the Gen 5s and 6, you can reverse the left and right-handed. So very, very nice magazines. All right, so enough chit chat. Now we're doing some testing. We're gonna do some 1R1s with the traditional Glock magazine and just kind of somewhat keep track of our times. You guys can keep better track. I will rattle off the times as we go through this. We'll try to get through it pretty quick, not waste much of your guys' time, but I just wanna kind of get a baseline of shot, how fast the magazine gets out of the gun, and then also a reload, how smooth it goes back in, and just try to do a baseline. Obviously, I know a lot of it has to do with my skill level and such, and as well it would yours, but just trying to get you guys a little bit of information and maybe on which magazine might be better for you. So let's go. Oh man, first one for the day. .386, first shot 159. .332, first shot was 122. Two misses. Trying to put the gas pedal down a little too hard. Those times don't matter because we don't count misses. That's why we practice, guys. So I like to come out and do these cold, meaning haven't really warmed up at all. I think it's most realistic. You know, how often would you expect to, well, I mean, no one ever expects to have to use anything in self-defense, but if you're ever in that situation, you know, the odds of you driving home from the shooting range after a shooting trip, pretty slim to none. So it's always good to get the hard drills out of the way right away. Your times only matter to yourself. We're not competing against anybody else. I keep track of my times and try to beat myself over the course of months and years. This is not a 20-minute, I need to shave down a second and a half. This is life skills that you build up over time and you continue to build them up. That was a .395, first shot 132. Second shot miss. First shot was a 120. See, even myself, I'm guilty of trying to go too fast after my reload, and I'm just not getting that sight picture as I shoot the second round. That was a 132 first shot. That was a 112 first shot. Total was not very good. It was a 3.6. But you can see, I mean, just out of practice, but fumbling with the reload magazine here, it's not often that I actually reload from the belt with the factory magazine. So I'm actually having a little bit of a hard time getting this placed into my hand. I'm somewhat used to using the extended mags. So just, you know, you got to train with what you're going to use. There we go. Last one was a clean run. 128 first shot, 328 total. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna swap the 2 factory Glock mags out for the Magpul magazines. And let's see if our time changes at all, or if it just kind of stays the same. All right, guys, same pistol, same distance, Magpul, Glock magazines. Let's see if our times are anything different. Well, accuracy is going to be about the same, apparently. All right, that was a 138 for the first shot. That was a 128 first shot, 319 was our total. .316 total. First shot was a miss, so it doesn't really matter. I was slow as hell and still missed the last shot. All right, so kind of the same as the factory magazine. It still feels like I don't have much in the palm of my hand to insert into the magazine. I will say I'm pleased with how they release. When I first got these magazines, they felt very grippy inside of the gun. I actually took some sandpaper and just like kind of just roughed up the sides of them, like kind of smoothed them out, not roughed them up, but smoothed them out a little bit because they weren't dropping out very easily. So I'm pleased to know now that they are releasing quite a bit better now. .138 first shot, 377 total. Trying to go too quick. That was a 141 first shot, 364. That one felt good. 345 total with a 135 first shot. So not too bad. It's empty. Click. All right, well, that was a good first shot. 1.15 was the first shot. So, all right, now we're gonna go load up the Mekgar steel mags and see if that makes a difference. All right, Glock Mekgar mags, same gun as always. So let's see what our times look like. First shot 1.3. Reload and second shot was a 3.04, but we missed. .162 was first shot, 354 total. Let's check out the splits though. That's our reload time, 192. So, solid reload, not good accuracy. Got to start hitting that second shot. I can kind of feel the pressure. I'm trying to move a little bit too fast. So for me personally, just got to reel it back a little bit. That was a 118 first shot, 336. So you guys can correct me in the comments, but I am pretty sure we're still on par with all the rest of the magazines. Ooh. 114 first shot, 278 total. .114 first shot. That felt like a pretty quick one for myself. 114 is pretty good for me. And then 342 total. Oh, we'll just do a draw and a shoot. Tried to throw it. All right. So that is all the mags, just testing them and shooting them. But I wanted to kind of show you guys, hold on so I can hear you guys, how these mags fall. That is what I think is probably the biggest difference. So we'll demonstrate it with the slide lock back as if you were empty. And you might not be able to tell the difference on the camera, but to me, it feels like a dramatic difference. This is the Metgar mag. So I'm gonna stand out of the way so you can just watch it. And that's the gun completely up. So you're only dealing with this much of a slope. So then here is the Magpul mag. Let me stand out of the way so I'm not, it's pushed in right now. Totally. Like there. So what I was talking about when I was shooting these, because these are plastic, and I don't want to say bad quality. Magpul makes great stuff, but it's a different quality than the factory Glock magazine. And that is the main reason that these are not in my rotation as for use actually at all. Like I have, I think 5 or 6 of these. Haven't used them in quite some time because I just don't like. Now, if you perform the perfect flip, you know, or whatever, however you reload, you know, you flick them out like John Wick, then they work great. But just that, you know, I want that magazine to want to leave the gun. And factory Glock magazines, you know, they have their issues too, don't get me wrong. But from a steel magazine, I mean, it's just buttery smooth out of the gun. I mean, I wonder how far back could we go? Well, not really back, but we can go straight up and down. And it's the action of pushing that is releasing it enough to just start that slide momentum, and it drops out. Let me grab a factory magazine real quick. All right, get rid of that one. So let's start out with just a bone stock Glock magazine. Let's go straight vertical, slide lock back. Let me get out of the way. So it's vertical, and I'm pushing. So it might not have seemed noticeable, pushing. So it's a little bit of a delay, just a little bit. It does still go out, but I think the Glock plastic is much better quality. It really is has a slick surface to it. So these extended mags, kind of the other beauty of them is you can get weighted base pads. So that magazine's going to want to come out better. Now this is not a weighted one, but this is that Ghost ink. A little bit quicker. It has a little bit more weight on the end, so it wants to get out of the gun. And then here's the Terran extension. So it kind of hangs up there. Now, that could be this magazine is older, so it's rougher on the edges because there is quite a bit of dirt on it. But I'm not making any excuses for it, just observations. It does go out and stop. So it is still a factory Glock magazine. So, I mean, it works, obviously, but that vertical, it doesn't actually come out. So is that a reason not to buy a Terran base pad? No, that's not what's stopping it. More than likely, it's a dirty magazine because I don't clean them, ever. I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever, other than when I throw them in the mud or, you know, something like that, then I go through and clean them. But not big on maintaining my magazines, but I also don't bring, like, I unload and I reuse the ammunition from my concealed carry and stuff like that, my defensive ammunition, but like those magazines are never out here in the environment. So those magazines other than occasionally getting emptied and then putting new rounds in, they're pretty close to factory. You know, they've had a couple rounds through them, but I do keep good track of those. So I just wanted to show you guys that there's different magazines out there for Glocks, all different sizes, configurations, ammo capacities, and different manufacturers. You're not just stuck with Glock like we used to be back in the day. You have Shield Arms mags, you have Metgar mags, you have Magpul magazines, and now Glock is making a factory steel 15-round magazine for the 48 and the 43X. So that's pretty interesting. There's also companies that make custom steel magazines for Glocks for competitions. Those are stupid expensive, like $150 a magazine. But they do exist. They're out there. So there's plenty of options for you guys for magazines. All of them I consider reliable. Would I bet my life on all of them? No. I stick to just factory Glock magazines. The Metgar mags are definitely becoming my favorite. I absolutely love them. I love training with them. They do wipe off super easy because they are the metal, so you can just take and wipe the magazine off. So even though I don't clean, you know, wiping a magazine, it's a lot easier. So I love these mags. I'm definitely gonna be buying more. I wanna say they were like 25 bucks or something. They weren't bad. Like, it was something where I bought a handful and they weren't crazy expensive. So I definitely check them out. If you have a Glock, buy one. It's not gonna hurt you. Check out the other magazines, get some base pad extensions. And obviously, definitely get your range time in. You guys see, I got home from work, came straight out here. Those rounds that you saw me shoot were the first rounds I shot for the day. So my times are horrible. It's something that you got to keep working on, and I'm guilty of it just like everybody else. Life gets in the way, and we do other things. So don't forget to train, guys. And bug in the way. Thank you guys for stopping by. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. More importantly, hit the share button. Send this video to a friend that maybe is looking at getting some factory or aftermarket magazines and has some questions. And if you guys have questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And don't forget, have a nice day.